This is turn Europe and the Orient between what we know and what until now we have only guessed at. Even the humble postcard hints at the flavor of this endlessly fat. Santa Sofia, one of the noblest religious buildings in the world. The Golden Horn, the most romantic stretch of water in Europe. The Byzantine Hippodrome, where chariot races were held. And the Blue Mosque, the supreme achievement of Turkish architecture. But there is much more, a rich folklore. Traditional sports. Crafts from the far corners of Asia. The silent and sun-bleached ruins of many a civilization, Greek and Roman, Seljuk Sultan and crusading knight. Side by side with the contemporary comfort of a Hilton hotel. Above all, Turkey is the new promised land for the holidaymaker, an untrodden, inexpensive country on the threshold of Europe, where the sun shines more than 300 days a year, and there are more than 3,000 miles of coastline washed by 4 seas, where all tastes are catered for. All that's needed is a passport, a green insurance card, and an international driving license. Those who prefer a sea voyage can take one of the regular sailings of the Turkish maritime lines from Venice or Marseille. Many choose to come by plane, 5 hours from London, and they have chosen well, for seen from the air, Istanbul is irresistible, with her minarets and mosques. Her captivating little bays, fringed with hotels. And her massive land walls. This vast, many-sided city, through which the sea threads its way, is really 3 cities in one, astride 2 continents, Europe and Asia. On the far Asian shore, picturesque wooden houses sleep under the tamarisk trees, while between the Golden Horn and the Sea of Marmara, the towers and domes of Stamboul recall 1,000 years of imperial past. Topkapi, the palace of the sultans, looks across at Beyoğlu, climbing from its old-fashioned waterfront to the modern and exuberant city on the hills. From these sheltered kiosks and pavilions of the Seraglio, the Ottoman sultans ruled the greatest empire after Rome, an empire that stretched at its height from the Persian Gulf to the gates of Vienna. Here life was languid, ornate, formal and splendid. But disastrous wars brought a decline in Ottoman fortunes. In the end, the Ottomans departed, and a new Turkey, a modern Western nation, emerged into the present day. But their memorials remain. Rumeli Hisar, built in 92 days by Mehmet the Conqueror, a year before the Turks captured Istanbul, still watches over the ever-changing Bosphorus, the drowned river valley that joins the Black Sea to the oceans of the world. "45 minutes by boat from Istanbul are the Prince's Islands. Byzantine emperors and Ottoman Grand Viziers used to take their pleasure, where today the citizens of Istanbul while away the long summer months sunbathing, swimming, boating, water skiing, and just talking. Even the transport recalls another, more gracious age. And although Istanbul is so near, there are still many places where a man can be alone. Istanbul has her beaches too. Florya, on the Sea of Marmara just south of the city, is the playground for the young and carefree. Its warm and shallow waters, its pier, its charming visitors, all give Florya a rather different air from Kilyos on the Black Sea, where the golden sands stretch for mile on mile. You can camp near both these beaches. The coasts of Turkey are dotted with campsites, provided with running water, toilets, showers, and cooking facilities. Meat, fresh fruit and vegetables are so cheap and abundant that a family of 3 can camp for £1 a day. But Turkey isn't only Istanbul. The Aegean and Mediterranean coasts call roads. You can fly to Izmir or Antalya in a couple of hours. You can easily drive there in a day. And petrol is cheap, less than 4 shillings a gallon. Peaceful Bursa, the city of 200 fountains, graces the slopes of Mount Olympus with its cypresses and famous tombs like the Green Mausoleum. Here the Ottoman sultans rest, their campaigns over. Amid roses, the Turks have always had a passion for flowers. They gave the world tulips, and the rose was probably first domesticated in this part of the world. The gardens, the trees, and the murmuring fountains all give Bursa the hushed quality of a city that has remained true to its legend. In a village near Bursa, Turks enjoy a unique Turkish sport, traditional Turkish wrestling, in which the wrestlers saturate their bodies and leather tights with olive oil. First, they do a dance of defiance. Then they begin in earnest. To win, you have to drag your opponent 3 feet in any direction, or hold him aloft for the count of 3, or throw him on the ground so, as the Turks say, his belly sees the sun. Most matches last an hour, and the slippery bodies demand great skill. One reason why the Turks do so well in wrestling at the Olympic Games. All along the roadside going south are reminders of the past. These columns owe their distinctive design to the leaf of the wild artichoke, still growing among the ruins of such wayside shrines. Shrines of a different sort have taken their place today, those dedicated to comfort. This hotel in Izmir, the newest in Turkey, is for its standard very reasonable, a little over £3 a day for a room with a bath. It is generally accepted that there are only three cuisines, French, Chinese and Turkish. And of these, Turkish is the most imaginative. With dishes called the imam fainted and ladies' thighs, it is small wonder. A meal like this costs £1 a head, and the excellent Turkish wine, 8 shillings a bottle. And this is a deluxe hotel. Not only can you swim in the luxurious hotel swimming pool, but on one of the incomparable beaches within easy reach. Or if your fancy turns that way, among the columns and plinths of a flooded temple. This is the ancient Roman city of Hierapolis, a scant 3 hours drive from Izmir on a fast road, where people from all over the Mediterranean world came to bathe in the warm, healing waters used to this day. In classical times, people thought that this pool, bubbling with hot water, was one of the gates of hell, and that these snow-white cotton cliffs over which the water trickles looked like the walls of heaven. Pamukkale, as the Turks call it, is one of the natural wonders of the world. These shimmering ramparts, veiled in crystal, have taken thousands of years to form. Here is a world of glittering fantasy, of dazzling light and delicate color. Within 100 miles of Izmir lies Ionia, the birthplace of philosophy, sculpture and classical architecture. And the very heart of Ionia is Ephesus, one of the most celebrated cities of antiquity, where imagination, helped by teams of archaeologists, can set up the fallen pillars and people the marble streets, still rutted by chariot wheels. And what people they were, the worshippers of Diana, the divine Earth Mother, Heraclitus, the subtle and argumentative philosopher, St. Paul the Evangelist, St. John the Apostle, who is buried in this basilica, and some say the Virgin Mary herself. For centuries, Ephesus was a center of devotion, a place where the gods of Europe and Asia met. When Pope John proclaimed Ephesus a holy city recently, it became once more a place of pilgrimage. Another famous city is Pergamum. Here parchment was first made, and the great library of 200,000 volumes so excited Cleopatra's envy that Antony took it to Alexandria to please her. The amphitheater on its rocky hill had an unsurpassed view of the plain beyond, where not far away was the sacred spring of Aesculapius, the god of healing. In these peaceful surroundings, an early form of psychoanalysis was practiced. Dreams, plays, baths and recreation did much to restore the health of the people of ancient times. Today, tourists can see more Greek and Roman ruins in the Aegean area of Turkey than in any other Mediterranean country. One such is the Temple of Apollo at Didymi, a center of prophecy second only to Delphi. Begun by the citizens of nearby Miletus, the temple was planned on so vast a scale that it was never finished, though work went on for 150 years. The main hall is 150 feet long and 60 feet wide. The builders lived here in Miletus, at the mouth of the river Meander. From its harbors, they founded 80 colonies around the Mediterranean, including Byzantium itself. Their theater was the largest in Asia Minor, 54 rows high and built mainly of marble. From its summit, there was a breathtaking panorama of antiquity. For centuries past, the soft breezes of the Aegean have turned these windmills which stand all along the coast. In the southwest corner of Turkey is Bodrum, the ancient city of Halicarnassus, where Herodotus, the father of history, flourished. For centuries, it has been dominated by the stupendous castle of the Knights of St. John, the last of the Crusaders. But in classical times, an even more remarkable building stood here, the Mausoleum, the tomb of King Mausolus, a skillful ruler who kept a delicate balance between his neighbors to the west, the Athenians, and his neighbors to the east, the Persians. The Mausoleum was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and its stones provided the bulk of the walls of the Crusader castle. With its long past, Bodrum combines a lively present. The white stone buildings, olive-clad hills, shady little tea houses and busy waterfront make it one of the most picturesque towns in Turkey. The people follow a little known but highly useful industry, sponge fishing. They go out in sleek, small boats called tirandelles. These days, they dive with the latest underwater gear. And often bring up amphorae, like this one, that once carried oil and wine to distant Mediterranean ports. The seabed here is littered with the wrecks of Greek and Roman galleys, a veritable underwater museum. Farther south, facing the Mediterranean, lies a scimitar of sea and sand, the turquoise coast, where 27 waterfalls, fed by fast-flowing streams, plunge into the sea. And amid scenes of unimaginable beauty, people pursue their simple, untrammeled life, carrying out daily tasks like threshing the grain in the age-old way. This coast, blessed with eternal summer, is the place par excellence for swimming, getting a suntan, water sports, and spearfishing. Even in the middle of winter, the temperature often touches 70 degrees, and people swim on Christmas Day after skiing in the mountains that loom 10,000 feet behind the beaches, the snow-capped Taurus Range. While Antalya, the chief town of the area, nestles round its diminutive harbor. An hour's journey from the subtropical coast are scenes that have changed little over the centuries. Forgotten villages clinging to the sides of rocky defiles or perched on the tops of inaccessible crags preserve a way of life biblical in its simplicity. Carpets were invented by the Turks in Central Asia 1,000 years ago. When they migrated to present-day Turkey, they brought their looms and their skills with them and introduced carpets to Europe in the 14th century. A good craftsman can tie 800 knots an hour. That is, 1 knot every 4 seconds. When a row is knotted, a simple tool is used to force the knots down into the woven part of the carpet. The dyes are often made from plants and even insects. Every color has a meaning. Blue for heaven, brown for power, red for wealth. The plain around Antalya was once the Roman province of Pamphylia, where among the ruins of 23 classical cities is the theatre of Aspendos, the best preserved in the world. The port of Pamphylia was Side, already old when Alexander the Great captured it. With the coming of Roman rule, it became rich and prosperous, with many famous residents. Including Antony and Cleopatra, who used to watch the sunset from this point. For the adventurous, Turkey offers much. The 600 miles of sun-drenched Black Sea coast and the immensity of Anatolia, that empire of steppe and mountain. 2 hours flight from Ankara by THY, the Turkish national airline, is Lake Van, close to Mount Ararat. On an island in the lake is a strange and striking church, Akdamar. The exterior, decorated with reliefs, still sharp and clear after 1,000 years. These unfamiliar saints are those of the Gregorian Church. While this familiar figure is Jonah and his whale. Closer to Ankara, in the center of Anatolia, is ancient Cappadocia, a landscape of unearthly beauty. The valley of Guremi, a dreamlike fairyland. It was erosion that carved these fantastic chimneys, these cones of pumice, these pyramids of porous rock, this city of surrealistic spires. Communities of monks, seeking shelter here from raids during the early Middle Ages, hollowed out of the living rock these extraordinary cathedrals, chapels, tombs, and cells. The hundreds of rock churches contain, painted on their walls, holy pictures, sometime naive, often delicate, whose spell remains despite the 10 centuries that separate us from the artist. people still live among these eccentric towers and columns. Houses, wine cellars, granaries are all hewn out of the soft stone, and those who inhabit them are true cave dwellers, needing only a miner's pick to build or extend a house. Guremi, with its bizarre moonscape, is easily reached on a good tar road and well provided with a comfortable hotel. 150 miles to the west, the heart of the remote, intense and unchanging Turkey beats strongest in the region of Konya. Here is a typical folk dance performed by the people of a small mountain village. Turks say that once you have felt the warm south wind on your face, you will always come back to Istanbul. Back to the smooth waters and smiling skies of the Golden Horn that the French writer Pier Loti loved. Where life is picturesque and fish caught one end of a boat is sold ready cooked at the other. Today, as over the centuries, tourists from the 4 quarters of the globe surrender themselves unreservedly to the splendor and magic of the city of cities. No one leaving Turkey is not in love with her. In love with the timeless wine-dark sea of Homer, the sun that touches all, the fabled antique shore. In love with the clamor of life in an exotic, stimulating land full of oriental flavor, Western comfort, and untouched charm. A holiday in Turkey is not just another holiday, it is another world.